Thank you everyone for joining us. Today we will be having a sit down with the minister within the Ministry of Social Protection, the Honorable Keith Scott, and he's going to give us an update as it relates to what has been happening within the department which he controls within the ministry. Minister, thank you for joining us today.
This is a pleasure.
Great.
And I relish the opportunity to be able to interact with the public out there and to bring them to date and some of the work that we have been doing.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, let's get into the question. I mean, everybody is concerned about the labor complaints that, some of them were unknown, some people were afraid to talk out. Could you tell us how many labor complaints we've received so far?
Well, we have received the meaning 31st of May. We have received 946 complaints. It has increased because people have now begun to demonstrate a certain amount of confidence in the labor department. Our officers have been diligent in going about their investigations. There has been ongoing training, and our officers have weekly training sessions, and we have even recruited some new ones, and we have already begun to expose them on the field training. So because we're getting a flow of more people coming in because of the confidence that their matters are going to be addressed, one, promptly, which is being done, and two, that they feel the honesty of the department and our officers now, as against what may have happened in the past, that they are coming in great numbers to let us know where the ills are. We haven't recognized that, are diligently addressing each complaint in a very serious way. And so far, we have got over 5 something outstanding, because it's not a process that is instantly addressed. Sometimes the officers have to go back several times to get the employers, to get the records and so on. So it does take some time, but we are conscious of it, and we are making sure that both the employer and the employee get a certain level of satisfaction that their matters are being addressed in a fair manner.
Great. Well, but looking at the years coming so close pretty soon, are we going to be able to deal with that 500, somewhere around 5, maybe 6, to deal with that before the year is out? Are we?
Well, as you might probably know, we do have a certain amount of short staff. We don't get a staff that today and have them other qualified officers at the same time. It does take some time to produce a couple of months to begin to get them to force base as labor officers. But we are addressing daily all the complaints that are on our desk. We have a book which has got for the occurrence, and we record it, and then we assign to 1 or 2 labor officers the matters that are there. We try our best at the same time to address those that are a bit long-standing, some of those we inherited and so. But we are really going after everybody fully. And what is comforting to me is that even the employers have begun to realize that this department means business, and they themselves are making that effort. We made an announcement when there was an increase of the minimum wage, both for government employees as well as for private employers, and we made sure that information is given to the public, not only by means of the press and the radio, but also by officers when they interact with the employers one-on-one, when they examine the wages books, and so they bring them up to date. So that relationship between employer and employee, employer and us as a department has improved tremendously. There is no question of bullyism or intimidation. Instead, what we have been striving as part of our mandate is to create a stable and a nice industrial climate whereby all parties and all players can feel a sense of being at ease and a sense of fair play. And that is our mandate, and we're doing that.
Excellent. Now, you said earlier that one of the difficulties might be staffing to finish all of these? What has the department been doing so far to increase the number of labor officers?
Well, recently, as early as the beginning of this month, we recently got 2 new persons, and we expect another 2 by the beginning of the new month, which starts tomorrow. And that will bring us to 4 new persons. And in the meantime, we keep looking. But you remember, to become a labor officer, we're looking for those persons who have the right aptitude, the minimum qualifications, your labels, and your other exams. And we're hoping that people will see becoming a labor officer as a career path, because we can't afford to train people and then have a high attrition rate. But we are trying our best to retain and to get new staff. So because we're conscious that we need to have new staff, especially when you come to think that we will be going within another couple of years into a big building, and where we can then accommodate much more. As it is, if you go there, you might see a certain cramped space around the place. But we don't want to have people uncomfortable, but we're moving as we get the space to have it filled. But the gap, the vacancies are being addressed.
Excellent. Well, let's move a little bit into the co-op. I mean, you are the driving force behind the rebuilding of the Coop Society in Guyana. You've been pushing that on every forum. Could you tell me where you now as it relates to the amount of the amount of co-ops you may have set up or rebuild in Guyana?
Well, actually, while you might want to say that a driving force, in our ministry, it's what you call we work together. It would have been the last minister, the senior minister would have been Mrs. Lawrence, and now a very dynamic person. And now we have an equally dynamic personality in Amna Ali. So these ministers are and have always been on board with whatever new development any section of the Ministry of Social Protection decides to embark upon. I myself have been involved because of them into areas that I never dreamed that I would be looking at: child care, for example, the aged, the protection of the aged, trafficking in persons. So these ministers, we work together collectively and as a team. So it's not that you might see I being a driving force. I might be the point person. But I had a lot of help from them, and right now I'm getting a tremendous amount of cooperation. What I did in terms of the co-op movement together with them is that we began by analyzing what were the ills of the co-op movement in Guyana, because we feel this government that the co-op movement is a very important element in the revitalization of this country's economy. In the past, historically, the co-op movement has had a glorious history from the time you have the village movement to now. But it took off even further when we had the Boredom. It was in office, and his mantra was the co-op movement. This is why we ended up having the name the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. It is because of the emphasis and the recognition of the role of the co-op movement. And I'll encourage people to read the oral history of the co-op movement and the village movement, and you'll see what a magnificent role it played. Then it's basically a system that preaches brotherhood, trust, and the bringing together of a set of people who, when they are together, they can see progress in a very measurable way. Right? So any 7 persons can form a co-op movement, and with like mind, they can be able to go forward and to get a progress of their life, of their business, in a much more and a faster way than if they were to go about having a business like a one-man. See, one-man businesses don't get further than one man. But the co-op movement is around for a long, long, long time. And some of the biggest organizations in the world, worldwide, happens to be co-ops. Some of the American, as an example, American, like say, supermarkets are co-ops. People don't know. Some of the banks, if you want to move money from one country to another, the highway to move that happens to be through a co-op system of banking. And people don't know this thing. So the co-op movement has a glorious part to play, but whether the society is a capitalist society, like say America, or a socialist society, like you would say Europe, Western Europe, each of those countries have successful co-ops. In Guyana, we had a fantastic amount of success in our co-op movement. We were able to produce craft. We were able to produce stone, the clay brick, and many other things that today people are now harking back to those days when we had a wide variety of products that was from the co-op movement. And what I find whenever I go out in the fields is, and I'm surprised about this, but the zeal and the enthusiasm of people, both young and old, who want to know more about the co-ops and for us to get on and get off the ground with it. So I'm greatly encouraged by that. And to that end, what we have done, we established a task force in a couple of months ago, and we did surveys taken in region 2, 3, 4, and a part of 5, and to see what was the strength on the ground. And I can tell you right off that our survey revealed that we have on record 1,268 co-ops throughout the regions, right? And of that, we have them most of them are active. We have people, they're also training, because I have a very dynamic Chief Co-op Development Officer. Her name is Paulina Giff. She does not hesitate to go to any region to embark upon training. She even recently have returned from Paramatay, where some people have just opened a new craft and other production and manufacturing as well. And she went up there to help them get the co-op movement off the ground with them. So people want to go the cooperative way now. And we are here to encourage them and to guide them. We've also gone further. What we also discovered is that the co-op societies in the past were used as one of the key areas of money laundering. And the society does not know that. But this is where the financial intelligence unit came in, and now we're working together. So for you to register a co-op, you have to get police clearance now, which never happened in the past. You have to get past the examination of the financial intelligence unit as well, which never happened in the past. Because money laundering is not only in Guyana was the co-op movement used as a hidden vehicle, but other parts of the West Indies. Now we are on it now, and while we're encouraging the growth of the co-op movement, we are at the same time making sure that they come through on the right foot. There have been, as you would know, issues with some co-ops which have been taken a long time. Yeah. But I want you to that it must be clearly understood by the public out there that those societies that have been giving us some trouble now are problems that we inherited in the new government. Some of them were as long as 5 years or so or more ago. Some of them that were victims of people who betrayed the confidence of their own fellow cooperators. And some of them have been able to steal land. Some have been selling the people's land, and so on. Now we are addressing those concerns one at a time. We have yesterday, I ordered an audit on one of those outstanding ones that is really serious in terms of the claims of the cooperators and against the opposition that they're encountering. So to get to the first base, I've ordered yesterday a mandate audit of the assets of that society, and then we take that from there. We also went further. 2 months ago, we ordered an audit on 2 other co-ops out of town, and we are within the findings of them. So there's a lot of work that is being done. And even that staff, you also need more staff. But ongoing training is also taking place. So I feel very positive about the co-op movement, and I feel that when that takes off, the societies will have a lot to celebrate.
Nice. I don't know if you can tell me offhand now, but what are some of the findings? What are some of the similarities you find within the co-op system throughout the regions? What are some of the findings after the audits?
Yeah, what I can tell you right away is that one is that the early set of co-ops, especially people or members of the co-ops, they took in trust those people who were elected as officers. Those officers betrayed that trust. There are a few who may have had more training than others, and so the members just took for granted that these are honest people who will just look after the interests, and then they just folded their arms. What we're doing now, having seen that, we are encouraging everybody that nobody is smarter than the other. We will help you, we'll guide you, and we'll train on. So people must be able to access the books, access the membership role. They must know about the finances, and where in doubt, ask us. And we are going to be moving in such a way that audits must be conducted every year, and meetings will be held regularly. I have been going to a few, and our officers have been going. And while we are now picking up speed in that direction, we are making sure that people themselves know that there is some department to which they can turn to get help in terms of training. We are here to help them if they feel that they have been being robbed, and we are not going to hesitate to bring those people to book. And it's a work in progress.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I know you have been working also with everyone within the ministry as it relates to occupational safety and health. And my findings might be wrong, but there seemed to be a decrease in the amount of workplace death. Is this so? And if you could say what is responsible for this decrease?
Well, I'll begin right away by saying I feel a sense of pride in my officers. That department is headed by an experienced personality by the name of Gwen King. She was once a senior officer here, and she is now here with us on contract. And her experience, both locally and internationally, has come to bear beautifully in this department. To that end, we have had programs that, from the time she started, ongoing programs in terms of having seminars with employers, having meetings with employees. We have all been going to places like whatever place, whether it's a big industry or a small place, and asking that the rules that govern us are being implemented, like workplace signs for danger, fire prevention, equipment being put in place, the noise coverage, dust, light, and making sure that all that the workplace requires, even in terms of stress, that we find ways of releasing that for the workers. Even leisure time, we have addressed that so that employers must know that employees can be expected to work without stopping. They'll get a certain period of rest, adequate rest, and so on. So we have been doing all of that, and we have also been making sure that the workers themselves become much more conscious of accidents. Accidents can be predicted more or less using statistics, and it can also be prevented largely. And by using these different methods, we have been able to radically reduce the amount of accidents that have been taking place. But that, I must say, we have to also thank the employers who have become conscious that it's in their interest not to have downtime in terms of machinery breaking down, in terms of workers have accidents, and so on. So they do appreciate it. Our work, therefore, we can see the results of our work, and we have reduced radically the accidents in the place. What we have also done is that any fatal accident that occurred, what we did, we instantly investigated it. So today I can tell you that we are at 100% in terms of our investigations of any fatal accident in this country. If it's out of Georgetown, like Peruni and Hartwich areas, we have a working relationship with GGMC and the Miners Association, whereby they inform us right away. And when they have to go, it will make their investigation. We are allowed to go with them. So we conduct our investigation while they conduct theirs, which they all might be might then cave in, while we might be looking at the conditions of the cave in and the actual death are. So we work together and we exchange our findings with each other. So if you have an accident, like for example, an airport accident, if perhaps there's a hijacking or a plane catching like fire or blowing up, we work together with the G's, the airport authorities, and the aviation boards. So because what we're looking for is different to what they'll be looking for. But at the same time, we get help with the overlap and the technical advice where necessary. So workplace accidents for us is at 100% solved, and we are ready at all times to go to any that we hear about. Those that are non-fatal will always occur. But even that has been reduced to a almost insignificant number. But we are in a position, if we have a hotline. If there's an accident, we can be called right away. And we go, so we can be going instantly on the ball. So we are ready for that's what we are being geared for, and we are prepared.
Excellent, excellent. Let's touch a little bit now on the central recruitment and manpower agency. How many people has this agency helped so far with placing jobs for the year, or maybe?
Well, for the year, what we have is a case we get requests, forms out there, all types. You have from those telephonic companies like Qualfon and so on, as well as some security companies, as well as employers that you may have in, let us say, rob our agency, or you may have hotels or whatever. They would call into us and say, look, we want one or two persons or a few persons, and these are the qualities that we're looking for. What we do, we have our database, and we would, from that base, we will look for the persons who fit that category, and we would not only send them, but we have now instituted a follow-up action where within a week or two, we want to know how the persons are progressing, because we brief them first, then we send them out, and then we follow up. So what you find is that request, although it's at about 870 or 75 that we get to date, and about 600 that have so far been placed, and it's ongoing. But at the same time also, it's not just follow up to see how they're doing, but we also have a report. We also look at the employers. We want to know why is it that a particular employer may be taking have a turnover of staff. Why would, let us say, just an example, why would, let us say, a security company need to have asked us or put an advertisement for staff for so long, and every week they want 4 people or 6 people, 6 persons. So we say something, let us see why. And we go to that employer and say, you have a problem with retention of staff. And if there's anything that we can pick up, we help them. If we have a problem with not treating employees correctly, we have to give a little bit of, as subtle as we could, advice and so on. So what we have found is that by doing this quietly, we are being more effective and than keeping a lot of noise or so. And it's working for us.
Great. Well, that's really good news. But let's touch on the last topic. Let's look at the Labor Department and the unions had a lot of back and forth during last year when you got into power. There was a lot of back and forth with the Labor Department and the unions. How is that relationship today?
Well, today, I hesitate to give the impression as if there was any conflict with the unions and our department. I'm aware that the press may have had slants of what they perceive to be maybe some kind of a conflict. But if you were to check the press reports, you'd hardly ever find any reply from us. Because whenever we've been asked, we wonder what we're talking about. So you never have seen our department being engaged in any sort of conflict with unions. But having said that, while there was a certain amount of maybe not happiness that I, as the new person, that has now been changed to one of respect, where the unions and we have cordial relationships. There are times when we might not see eye to eye. They may not be happy because our pace of solution or resolution might not be to their liking. But what we have been trying to do is to steer unions away from insisting on going the way of arbitration. Arbitration can be costly. It can be also take a lot of time. And I'm not certain that all unions are really cognizant of how time consuming it can be. So we try to see how, as much as we could, how our officers can have matters settled at the conciliation level. We're finding that it's working a little bit better than in the past. Unions are now beginning to understand that unions aren't what it was in the 50s and 60s. It's a new concept that is taking hold in the entire world. And we're trying to get them to understand it has to call for a new paradigm shift, where your approach towards solving workers' problems must not be just this bull in a china shop approach. They are beginning to listen. There are still outstanding issues. Most of these outstanding issues are issues that we inherited. Like, for example, Rusal is one. And Rusal, even that itself, they have the unions and them, when in the past they were fighting now, they are negotiating with each other. And there is a lot of negotiation going on that is out of the press between the Rusal and the trade union. And there's a hope, for my mind, that it will be solved very shortly. But we are trying not to interfere or to appear to be dictating. We are allowing the process between the union and the company to run its course as much as, while not neglecting the thought of the workers' interests, and while not neglecting to give advice where needed. So we do meet with them, and we are making sure that everything is okay with them. So there's some hope for some of those unions that they will be able to see some success.
Great, Minister Scott. Thank you so much for this information. I am sure that the general public and some of the media houses are now up to scratch with what the ministry, what the department, has been up to. And we thank you for this, Thank you for joining us.